Hey guys, good morning. Maybe you can hear Pippa meowing. She's also saying good morning. Happy April 13th and happy birthday to our dear friend Torri. On this glorious day, she will probably jump on her trampoline in celebration and maybe eat some candy, a smoothie perhaps. So, happy birthday to Torri, and I am going to play this song while I draw Torri a picture.
Happybirthday.com.
Okay, thanks for being patient. This is taking a little bit longer than the length of that song. So you guys will have the joy of hearing it twice, and one more time should be sufficient.
Happybirthday.com.
Okay, I promise you I'm almost done. I'm not the most skilled artist, as you know, so this might take me a little longer than it would take other people. So, thank you for being patient with me while I draw. I hope you guys had a wonderful, restful spring break. In a little bit, we will also talk about some of the things that hopefully you did, that I did, and we'll celebrate being back at school. So, almost done. And I just really, I realized when I was done drawing that this picture didn't have a ton of color, so I'm doing some last minute touches on the color. And then we will be done. You really, thank you again for being patient. Here is our happy birthday, Torri. So there's Torri. She is clearly doing some gymnastics. She's a talented gymnast. Over here is our good friend Cupcake. She's a little scared of Hank over here. He was kind of looking for a snack. So Tori's petting Hank. If her arm was long enough, she'd be simultaneously petting Cupcake. And over there on Tori's leg is our dearest friend Peppermint. So there's Torri. Happy birthday, Torri. And I'm going to flip that board over. Now we'll come back to Torri in just a minute. But flip it over. I did not use this whiteboard over spring break, so here is the message that I had to you guys the Friday before we departed, which talked about some things that I was suggesting that you guys do, but also might have been good for me to do. So journal, nature, get outside, show kindness and patience whenever possible, read, reconnect with family, near and far, something got erased, and this is a lyric from one of our songs. So, I didn't actually journal, even though I suggested that you guys should do that, because this is an interesting time in history. I have to tell you that I personally didn't do that. I did use a planner. I have like a planner for school, and then I have sort of my own planner where I put school stuff but also other things. So I did that. That's kind of like journaling. There's a little reflection at the beginning of the week and the end of the week. Not quite the same as a journal, but better than nothing. I definitely got outside when I could. As you know, Hank loves to go on a walk, so there was no shortage of walks for Hank when possible. There were a couple rainy days, so that sort of prevented that. But in those rainy days, I was able to read. I did not hit my 6-book record, 2.5, so not bad, but not quite 6. I did have some fun with those though. Reconnecting with family near or far, I was able to write some letters to some family. I talked to some family. So yes, I definitely did keep up with them during this time. Yes, so, and of course I like to think that I'm mostly kind and patient, but yes, I did try to be kind and patient. One of the things that was sort of hard for me is, as you guys know, my grandma was, she's sick and she passed away over spring break, so I actually did not get to see my family because of what's going on, so I did not go visit them, but from afar I am doing my best to be helpful to both my grandpa and my mom, who lost someone very close to them. So, not to end on that note, she was having a very hard time. So it is okay. I just hope that my grandpa will also be okay. So, I guess the best part of my spring break was definitely the reading, and one day where the sun was shining, and that day I was outside all day, so that was nice too. All right. Back to, actually this might look more normal this way, except Tori's hair would not be sticking up like a troll, so back to upside down Torri. She's either doing she's midway in a cartwheel. There we go. I am going to read you guys a story called The Tough Princess. And I think maybe I will try sitting a little closer so you can see the pictures. The Tough Princess by Martin Waddell and Patrick Benson. Now, I did choose this story sort of on purpose. I remember Torri liking it, so I actually have not myself read it in a while. Maybe Torri read it when she was leading group time. But yes, she was part of my reasoning for this. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen who weren't very good at it. They kept losing wars and mucking things up. They ended up living in a caravan parked beside a deep, dark wood. The king is the one with the frying pan. The queen is the one with the hammer, trying to fix the roof. One day, the queen told the king that she was going to have a baby. "Have a boy," commanded the king. "He will grow up to be a hero, marry a rich princess, and restore all of our fortunes." "Good idea," said the queen. But when the baby came, It was a girl. Never mind, said the king. She will grow up to be a beautiful princess. I will annoy a bad fairy and get the princess into bother, and then a handsome prince will rescue her, and we'll all go off and live in his castle. Good thinking, said the queen. We'll call her Rosamund. Bah, said Rosamund. The princess grew up and up and up and up until at last there wasn't room in the caravan to hold her. The king got her a tent and pitched it outside. It's time you were married, the king told the princess on her 17th birthday. Yes, Dad, said the princess. But I will go off and arrange it, said the king. The king went off into the deep dark wood to annoy some bad fairies. The first fairy the king met was no use. She was a good one. She didn't even get angry when the king called her names. The second fairy was bad, but she was only a beginner. She turned the king into a frog for making faces at her cat. But the spell wore off. The third fairy was very bad. This is her. The king was awfully rude to her. Aha! Cried the bad fairy. What do you love most in the world? My daughter Rosamund, cried the king hopefully. I will cast a spell on her, cackled the bad fairy, who wasn't very bright. And she darted off to do it. Goody! Cried the king, because his get the princess a rich prince plan was working. The bad fairy came upon Princess Rosamund picking buttercups in a glade. Aha! She cried. I am the bad fairy, come to cast a spell on you. 7 years shall you lie, till a prince comes riding by. Biff! Went Princess Rosamund, and she knocked the bad fairy out, bent her false teeth, and bust up her glasses. You rotten, ungrateful thing, Rosamund, said the queen, picking up the bad fairy. I'll catch my prince my own way, said Princess Rosamund. The next day she borrowed the king's bike and rode off to seek her prince. Rosamund had a lot of adventures. She slew dragons and great worms and black knights. She rescued several princes who were quite rich, but she didn't like them, and so she threw them back. She did all the things a heroine ought to do, but she didn't catch her prince. Princess Rosamund grew tired of rescuing princes and killing dragons, and her front wheel got buckled in a fight with a 100-headed thing. In the end, she set off, sadly for home, carrying her bicycle. Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. Hello, bad fairy, said Princess Rosamund when she got home. Where's your prince, then? Said the king and the queen and the bad fairy, who had moved in by this time. Haven't got one, said Princess Rosamund. I'm not going to marry a ninny. What about us? Cried the king and queen and the bad fairy. What are we supposed to live on if you can't come up with a prince? That's your problem, said Princess Rosamund. I'm not going to. And then she saw the sign. It says, this way to the enchanted prince. I'm doing this for me, said Rosamund firmly, and she set off in the deep dark wood. You lot can look after yourselves. She bashed up several goblins and ghouls and the odd fairy, including several good ones by mistake, and finally she won through to the enchanted castle. On a flower-strewn bed in the castle lay a beautiful prince. Rosamund gave him a big smacky kiss. And if I could hear you all, I know you're saying ew. Pippa is too. She just flinched over there on her chair. The beautiful prince opened his eyes and took a look at Princess Rosamund. Car, what a liberty, he cried, and he biffed her one right on her beautiful nose, and Rosamund biffed him one right back. It was love at first biff. They biffed happily ever after. The king and the queen lived happily ever after too. And the bad fairy got even worse. Dun dun dun. The end. The Tough Princess. And I would like you to find a spot for music, and my comfy spot is not on the floor, but rather up on this couch. This week's feature composer is Aaron Copland. The feature composition is an excerpt from Appalachian Spring. Copland composed Appalachian Spring in 1944 as a ballet about a celebration in a pioneer community. The story is about how everyone helps a newly married couple build their first farmhouse. The story takes place in the Appalachian Mountains. Composing this ballet was a challenge for Copland because he knew he wanted his music to be interesting to listen to and, at the same time, help the dancers tell the story. Happy first day back. Have a good day.